Former Atlanta Police Chief George Turner. It happened just hours after the sheriff participated in a summit for top law enforcement focusing on combating crime. Turner joined the sheriff and his wife for a Facebook Live discussion tonight. They talked about ways to tackle car break-ins, including the use of bait cars.
Now, there's a debate whether you are using traps, if you will, for people that are in a challenge situation and they choose not to, and then they're breaking into cars. But the fact is, it's an effective tool. It's been effective for probably now for the last 15 years around the country. It's something that I think that should be implemented again.
Now, Sheriff Labatt said APD investigators told him his case was the third car break-in that night in that same area.
Animal shelters are...
It's news that is still unbelievable to those who knew Miriam Abdul-Rab. Grant Henry is the owner of Church, one of the two bars the 27-year-old worked at.
What most of us been doing all day is either staring in the air, which is like shock, or the realization that this happened, and then breaking down in tears.
Investigators say Abdul-Rab was found shot to death near Lakewood Avenue and Terrace Way in southeast Atlanta around 10 Friday morning. This was just a few hours after someone reported she was kidnapped outside of her home just about 2 miles away.
The caller actually witnessed it, so he saw everything that happened. He saw the female being forcibly grabbed and placed into a vehicle.
Authorities say DeMarcus Brinkley is a person of interest in the kidnapping. He was detained following a high-speed chase.
27 years old, one of 4 siblings. Atlanta police say they detained a person of interest in her case. And Miriam's family says police told them that person was involved in a chase in Griffin and crashed. Here's video of that crashing in Griffin. Georgia State Patrol saying it was part of that chase, which ended with that man crashing into another car on Hill Street. 2 people in that car were flown by helicopter to the hospital. GSP saying the man taken into custody after that pursuit is a 27-year-old from Griffin. Right now he's being held on traffic charges, but police say it's still very much early in the investigation to charge him yet in the kidnapping case. A friend gave us this picture showing Miriam working as a bartender in Atlanta. This all starting around 5 this morning on Burrough Street in southeast Atlanta when police got a call about someone witnessing a possible kidnapping. About an hour later, police responded to shots fired at Lakewood Avenue and Terrace Way. Police there got another call from someone who found Miriam's body in the wood line. One man who says he's Miriam's neighbor called this a scene out of a horror movie.
It's just wild. It's literally like out of a horror movie. Like, that's everyone's worst nightmare, to be kidnapped. And the one place you think you're safe is your home.
Atlanta police urge anyone out after dark to remain vigilant about their surroundings. And if you see anything suspicious, call 911.
This story has been unfolding all day long. You can listen for more information from police during this afternoon's press conference.
Have been captured and pray and hope that more arrests are made.
Sequoia Turner, an innocent victim, prosecutors say, of at least 2 members of the violent Bloods street gang. Indicted for murder, Julian Conley, accused of being the trigger man. Also indicted, Jerian McKinney, accused of participating. The DA says here's what happened. According to prosecutors, last summer, Conley and McKinney and other members of the Bloods had illegally set up a roadblock, protesting an Atlanta police officer who had shot to death an alleged fellow Bloods member, Rayshard Brooks, 3 weeks earlier during a DUI investigation. Then, on July 4th, Sequoia's mother and a friend accidentally drove through the gang's roadblock. Sequoia was with them, and gang members opened fire, killing Sequoia. DA Fannie Willis says it was no protest, just gang violence.
Their motive was that a member of their gang had been killed, and it was outrage to the loss of that life.
Attorneys for Rayshard Brooks' family say they had no knowledge of Brooks being involved with any gangs. Conley and McKinney are in jail as prosecutors put together their case for justice for Sequoia Turner.
From the police. The video appears to show the Ultima stop quickly at a roundabout on Poplar Road. They say McCoy bailed out and made a run for it. He was later captured by a police canine. They say the passenger then jumped behind the driver's wheel She was quickly taken into custody. Investigators identified the passenger as the actual owner of the car. She's 23-year-old Takiria Colvin, who is also from Columbus. They say she is wanted on felony forgery warrants in Muskogee County. Deputies say they found a
Nut faces several charges, including robbery of the two roommates. We're working to learn more about why the pair was killed.
A grand jury has indicted 2 men charged in the murder of
19 U.S. states, including Georgia, allow corporal punishment in schools. Let's look at why. In 1977, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that corporal punishment in schools does not violate the Constitution.
And that it didn't violate a student's Eighth Amendment right to prevent cruel and unusual punishment.
Mike Tefelsky of the Southern Poverty Law Center is an expert in education law. He says states that allow it do restrict it.
They need to have a written policy and that they should not be engaging in excessive use of corporal punishment.
Georgia's law states that corporal punishment should never be the first choice and allows a parent to forbid it. According to the Georgia Department of Education, there were 4,755 spankings in Georgia schools in 2019, almost exclusively in rural areas. It happened 60 times in Heard County, west of Atlanta. Superintendent Rodney Kay tells us sometimes parents request corporal punishment in lieu of a suspension that would keep their child out of class. Those parents must sign a consent form. Congress is considering a bill to ban the practice nationwide.
I think the issue we see a lot is that districts don't know about alternative practices.
There's been no action on the legislation since January of 2019.
Afghanistan by September. The terrorist group now controls the majority of the country.
These people they have no conscience. They're evil, and now they're going to control an entire state. It's insane.
The Afghan government still has American support, but some U.S. officials fear unless something drastically changes, the government could collapse totally within a month. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox 5 News.
Authorities say a young man killed.
Everybody knows the flu season runs from fall to spring. But this virus seems to be blowing up in the spring. What's going on with that? It don't make no sense to me. I mean, it turns into pneumonia, this, that, and the other thing. Come on! Somebody tell me something. I sure as hell ain't figured this one out yet.